Hi everyone, it's Paula. Welcome back to Trapani's Tech Tips for Teachers, where my goal is to help make teachers' lives a little easier. Hey everyone. So today's tech tip is how to create a Bitmoji scene. And I'm sure that you are like me and you've seen these how to make a Bitmoji scene tutorials pretty much everywhere, all over social media and whatever blogs and YouTube videos you explore regularly. So I'm jumping on the bandwagon because if you know anything at all about me, you know that I am, you know, mildly obsessed with my little blue-haired Bitmoji lady, and she follows me everywhere. If you check my channel, you'll see a video where I demonstrate how to download the Bitmoji Chrome extension from the web store. And then I created a follow-up to that, which was how to create a header or a banner for your Google Classroom using your Bitmoji. And really the main purpose was to actually point to the classwork tab to remind your students who all seem to have forgotten where do we go to find our assignments. So I've been using, Bitmojis not only in my, personal text messages and things since I found the app, but once I added this Chrome extension, you can easily add your Bitmoji to just about anything you do in the classroom. So today I wanted to show you a couple of cool ways that you can actually incorporate a scene like this one, into your virtual teaching. And later when we get back to some sense of normalcy, of course, you can use this, as a way to enhance your regular teaching, the normal teaching too. But since we're all doing so many digital things now, whether we're using Google Classroom or some other platform, it's kind of a fun way to keep it colorful and keep it personalized. So it's simple. The steps are not challenging, but there are a lot of steps. So definitely save this for one day when you have some free time and you really want to mess around and, play not only with the Chrome extension for Bitmoji, but also just, gathering all of these images and compiling a scene. So hopefully, you'll have some fun with it and figure out, some ways that make sense for you to use it in your teaching. Okay, so here we are in a Google Slides presentation that I had started because, like I said, huge obsession with Bitmojis, and I really wanted to get on board with this scene creation because there are lots of cool ways that you can incorporate this into, what you're doing in your Google Classrooms. This scene that I had set up already, I used in a recent post in my Google Classroom. Myself and a couple of the other librarians collaborated, and we are taking turns reading alternately chapters from a really popular YA novel. And we have only included the audio of it. It's not, our faces, on camera. So we thought the kids should have something to look at. They'll be watching, be able to click on these audio recordings through a Google Slides presentation. And while each of us reads, our recordings play with, this Bitmoji scene, as sort of the backdrop for it. So that was one, option. If you have created a Google Slides presentation for your kids, whether it's an assignment or an intro to a topic or whatever, it's a great way to, make it colorful, put your personality in it. The Bitmojis, there are a bazillion of them. You can have some text added, just about any pose or anything you could think of, have her pointing at the whiteboard and, things like that. So you can really enhance the visuals, for a presentation that you've already made. You can also make it a part of a lesson that you push out to kids where, maybe this is sort of the title slide, but then going forward in, future slides in this presentation, or if it's a Pear Deck presentation, or you've created a Jamboard, they're all kind of similar, and you might be giving kids a task to complete. You can type whatever text you want. If you've included especially a blank space like a whiteboard or, just a blank area of the screen, you can type on it, in a text box just like you would ordinarily. And you can have a hyperlink to, an outside doc, or a hyperlink to an ed puzzle for them to complete, or a brain pop video or whatever. So you can make it a bit interactive as well. And, it's a way for, the kids to not just look at, a Google Doc or something plain. All right, so let's get going. I'm sure you're excited to get sucked into this Bitmoji vortex with me. So, a couple of things you're going to need before we get started. If you have not already, download the Bitmoji Chrome extension. So that shortcut should appear somewhere, across this, I guess the right next to the URL bar at the top. So if you have not installed that yet, go ahead and take a look in my at my channel. I have a video that will walk you through installing the extension. Um, that's number one. Number two, you should probably just scribble down or have a few ideas floating around in your head of some keywords, right? So if your scene you would like your scene to include a blackboard or a whiteboard or a motivational poster or a chair or a couch or a desk, whatever it is that you want, have some idea of some keywords that you're, going to be looking for. You may also want to have another tab open while you're working, and that website is remove.bg, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. So you might need to kind of toggle back and forth between two tabs, actually three tabs because Google Images too. So these three right here, ignore the 9 million other tabs that I have. And finally, you are going to need a Google Slides presentation. So I have one that I started because, like I said, I have a Bitmoji addiction. So I already, added this scene, and I have other slides. Whoops. If you can see here with, some of those slide elements, chairs and couches and books and all kinds of things that I may want to use in a future slide. I've also saved some backgrounds that I kind of liked. They're not in the proper format, but, just scenes that I thought I may want to use down the line. So if you don't already have a Bitmoji obsession slideshow going in your Google Drive, then go ahead and open up a new Google Slides presentation and, get a blank slide to start with. So let's insert a blank slide here. To insert new slide. And my default, I think, is blank because I had told some of these other slides, to be blank. But if you were, given a slide that had a text box in it already, you would simply just have to, highlight that text box, so that the lines are solid and hit delete on the keyboard and it will go away so that it's blank, right? Because for the most part, what we're adding to these scenes are different images that we're going to layer on top of each other. So I'm going to borrow one that I had saved already. Let's steal one of these. So this one's kind of nice. Actually, I'll use this one because I'll show you how to crop out this little text that we don't want to appear. So I am going to copy and paste this from slide to slide. However, if I did not have this little library of stuff to play with, let me see if I can find it again. So let's go into the blank slide. And you can do, a couple of things when you are searching for images. I always, if you don't have something saved on your computer already, you can search for one. You might need that Google Images tab open over here. But let's say we click on Insert, and up at the top here is the word image. You have a couple of options. If you know you have an image already saved on your computer, obviously you're going to make this selection right here, upload from computer and locate it somewhere on your hard drive or external drive. If you know you have an image saved in your Google Drive, same thing. So you can choose, from anything that you currently have saved. So here are some of my recently used images, right? So if I knew I wanted to save that, I selected Google Drive and I could just double click the item and it appears in here. But you could also, when you go to insert image, you can search the web, and Google Slides allows you to search the web right here. You don't even have to leave to go to that new tab. And you can type right in the search box whatever it is that you're looking for. You might notice I've already done some searching, and the first word is transparent. So that's one of the things I wanted to tell you about when you are searching. A couple of tips for this type of Bitmoji scene. You want to filter the images that Google retrieves back for you. And one of the ways you can do that is by typing the word transparent before the item, that you were looking for. So if you wanted a transparent whiteboard, for example, here are some options. And the reason why we say transparent, the image itself is not transparent, the background is, right? So if there were any other background, let's see if we grab this and slide it in here. You notice in the thumbnail, it showed black over here. The background was black. This time, that black part disappeared, right? So you want to use the word transparent. Okay. Sometimes when you're searching in here, you don't find exactly what you're looking for. You might want to go to an outside website, whether it's Google Images or something else, and maybe you want to search for something like I've used the phrase wall floor for the background, or you can search for the phrase, classroom background, or just plain old wall or brick wall, and then search for a floor separately, whatever search term you're going to be using. Okay, so we could go to Google Images, and I'm going to search for, let's try wall floor and see what comes up. Okay, so here's a cool one. I'm just going to grab this. So I can save this picture or copy this picture right from here, right? So I'm going to click on it once. I never copy and paste from the thumbnails because sometimes it messes with the formatting and it gets a little warped looking. So once you have it just a little bit larger, you just click it once and it pops out a little bit larger in this black background off to the right. And I'm going to right click and copy image and then go on back to my slideshow. Okay, so now I can Control V and paste my image right in there. There it is. And it just about filled the slide. So I usually just kind of move it up to one of the corners. And then remember, when you're resizing anything in these things, always resize with the handles in the corners. It usually, fills no problem. There we go. Okay, so now I've got my room set up for the background. And now I'm going to start adding some of the other elements. So again, I can either search for it by insert image, upload something I've saved, upload something I've, imported to my drive, or I can do a fresh search. I do have a few elements here, so I'm just going to copy and paste from down below here. So let's see, we'll slide down. I'm going to probably need a couch or a chair or something. And some people decide, they want their Bitmoji scene to be all real life photographs and they don't want any of this cartoony look. Other people really want it to stay cartoony since the Bitmoji itself is basically a cartoon. So it's really your call. Maybe you want to have a couch that looks like this one. Let's try that. Copy that. And go on back up to our new scene here and Control V. So here's our couch, and maybe we want to expand this a little bit, make it a little larger. All right. And then maybe now we can probably put that whiteboard in there. Drag that right in. And I like to have a blackboard or a whiteboard because, we're teachers and we want to write on the board, right? So now you have a nice place to actually put some text if you need to. And now maybe I want to put a little wall art here. I'm not going to go crazy. I'm just going to put something on the wall and add a Bitmoji, and we'll call this scene finished. But you obviously would take your time and add, if you look at my, saved images here, not only do I have, signs and things and bookcases and all that, but I've got, lamps and clocks and computers and desks and all kinds of things that you can add in, and you can really personalize it. I've even seen where people used an image of their own pet, and had the cat curled up on the couch or something like that. That might be an example, while we're on that topic, that might be a time to use this website that I mentioned to you of remove.bg. So when you first go to the website, it's simply remove.bg, right? And there's not a whole lot you can do here except upload an image. So in this case, if you knew you had an image of your pet dog saved on your computer, you would simply click upload image and search for it somewhere on your hard drive. I don't have a pet, so I'm just going to steal a picture. Let's use a clip, I guess a Bitmoji or something. What do I have here? Bitmoji, what's this one? So it uploads the picture. Oh, that's back when I had purple hair. Okay, so the original, if you can see, has a white background. And then it did its magic and it removed the background. It didn't touch the actual photograph, but it touched the background. And that's why it looks like this gray and white checkerboard. That's to indicate to you that this will actually be invisible so that when we insert this in, an existing background, we're not going to have a big white, box around it, right? It'll just be the little lady and the text. I'm obviously not going to use this one because I no longer have purple hair, but we'll copy and paste it anyway. So let's do, whoops, copy image right from here and go on back. So if that were a photograph of, I've seen people take a picture of their own comfy chair or their pet or, a bookcase that they actually have, you could remove the background and then do Control V to paste. And there she is. So now as I move her around, you see that there is no white background, right? So this picture is no good. We are not using that. What was I going to do? I was going to do a poster, right? So we'll grab one of these just to have a little decoration on the wall. And then I'll pull from my Bitmoji Chrome extension. So here's a little sign. And I'm actually going to crop out the white edges because that is stressing me out. As I mentioned, I may have a problem. Okay, so once there we go. Okay, so no more white edges. So we've got this on the wall. Excellent. Now, the next thing I need to do is add my Bitmoji. Obviously, this is going to be, a Bitmoji scene. So from here, I'm going to go back up to my toolbar. The reason why so if you have the Bitmoji app, you've probably used it in text messages and emails when you're working on your phone. But I actually like this one from the Chrome extension even better. Number one, any image that you select is automatically transparent. So you don't have to set it to be transparent if you take it from here. So we don't have to worry that it's going to have a white background around here. It's going to, blend perfectly in with our scene. The other thing I like is that you can search for, there's so many here. And I learned that even if you type the word pose, for example, you're going to get, if you want you want your Bitmoji standing up, but, maybe you want her to wave or you want her to look really excited or you want her to, be goofy or celebrate or pass out of exhaustion. Whatever it is that you want her to do, just typing the word pose, will get you, some of the other, things that might work in your scene. I think you can type sit or sitting, and you'll get one that looks like they're sort of sitting on nothing and you can place them on your couch or chair. The other thing I love is you can type any text. So if I typed welcome, for example, there are a few Bitmojis that already exist that have the word welcome, pre-made in there, right? So this is clearly part of it. She's holding a banner of some kind. This one has the word welcome with the word back. But they also, no matter what you type here, it'll sort of just pull a few random Bitmojis with that word above her. So if I had written, welcome to my students, that's really specific. And chances are there isn't a pre-made, whoops, if only I could spell student. There isn't a pre-made Bitmoji, that says that. But look, they're giving me a few options here. Welcome to my students. So now she looks really excited. I don't know why this would be a sad one. This one, she looks there. It's got the little speech bubble. But maybe we want to use, something, like this to even put on the whiteboard, So I like that one because it adds whatever text you want on here. So I'm just going to choose, let's see if I can find her sitting so I can add her to my couch. There she is. So you're just going to right click, copy image, and then go back to your scene and Control V to paste. There she is. So we're just going to resize her so she doesn't look like too big for the couch. And we'll have her seated, something like that. Okay. So if your scene is pretty much done, you might maybe just think about, what you actually, what's the purpose of this presentation. Maybe you want to give your kids some instruction here. Maybe it's just a welcome slide. Maybe it's, the first thing that they're going to look at when they join you for a Google Meet, while they're waiting for you to actually start whatever, lesson you've prepared. Maybe they're just going to be looking at this and you'll have a little message here that says welcome or something like that. And that's, working with text boxes just like we've done a bazillion times before. So insert text box, and you can fit that, right in here. And of course, edit the font, and you can write, I miss you, and, whatever you're doing there. And of course, you can edit, the size and the style and the color and the alignment and all of those things, right? So maybe we want to make it blue or something like that. Okay. If you also wanted to have there be, oops, let's take this out. I'm actually going to put, click here to see the Brain Pop video or the YouTube video or Edpuzzle or something like that. If I right click here, I can insert a hyperlink just like with anything else, right? So that sideways paperclip looking thing. And we can just have them link to Google or something. So now there's a link here. So if this were presented, in that present mode, it's going to become clickable, right? So if you're presenting, sharing your screen, you actually have this outside link to click on to do a live lesson. Or if you've pushed it out to students, it would be something that they can click on as well. So now we've got our scene. A couple things to remember. Editing. We talked about a few of the things already. When you're resizing, always remember to use the sizers in the corners, right? Because you want to keep the proportions the same. If I, resize my lady by going like this, she's going to become very wide. Obviously, that's no good. If I resize her from the top, she's going to become really short and squat and also blurry in this case, which is also no good. So you want to keep the proportions always by resizing with the corners. Cropping. This might actually work even with the transparent background. I'm noticing here, it's covering a lot of the screen. Yes, it's transparent, but we could get rid of that empty space, right? So if I choose crop and then hover my mouse over these dark black bars, I can just slide and get rid of some of that extraneous blank space, right? So now when I pick her up to move her, it's not, so large, right? So anything can be cropped to, fit the space a little bit better. In addition, you can recolor some images. So for example, I had found a desk that I thought was really ugly because of the color. Let's see if we can recolor that. So here's a really simple desk, right? So we'll just insert that in there, but it's a hideous color and I don't want that to ruin my beautiful scene here, but I'm just going to have it floating in space here so you can see. So when you recolor something, you can choose the, make sure the image is selected, right, with the little handles around it. And we're going to click Format and slide down to Format Options. And then you get some selections on the right-hand side here. And one of them is Recolor. I believe the default, it's going to look like that. If we choose Recolor, it gives us a few options. So maybe we want a desk that's not this putrid mustard color and we want it to be a lovely turquoise color or something like that, right? So you can, maybe gray or whatever. Okay. So I wanted you to know that that was an option. We talked about hyperlinks. And the only other thing I would say is to really try to not only keep it simple, but keep it personal, have it reflect your personality a little bit. Think of some cool ways that you might use it. Maybe you want to just, incorporate a single Bitmoji as, a way to kind of gather everybody's attention or to say hello or to ask for feedback or something like that. Just a cute little, image with some, text above it or something like that. If you have a whole scene, let it really reflect your style and your content and all of that. If you have any questions at all, while you're working on these things, of course, you can refer back to this video, but there are approximately 4.3 trillion out there on social media and on YouTube. So definitely take a look. And if you have any suggestions for me, definitely comments on the video that I've posted here. So I hope it was helpful. I hope that when you're all set, you'll wind up with a scene that you can be really proud of and that feels a little bit like, you've added a personal touch to your digital class. Thanks so much for watching. If you found today's tip useful, like, comment, or share. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel so you don't miss a thing. If you have any questions, comments, or requests, you know where to find me.